From their small beginnings as an organization focused on community self-defense to becoming the leading force for equality in the nation, the Black Panther Party was by far the most revolutionary group of the 20th century. Despite the success of the civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King Jr., black communities throughout the U.S. continued to face economic and social inequalities. Among the foremost of these injustices was police brutality. This eventually led two African American men to co-found one of the most controversial organizations in American history, the Black Panther Party. Born out of self-defense, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale sold copies of Mao's Little Red Book on their university campus until they had raised enough money to buy 2 shotguns. The pair then proceeded to follow police patrols as they passed through black communities, watching arrests in progress from a distance, guns resting on their shoulders, ensuring that police followed proper procedures.
We would stand at a distance where the police couldn't say they were interfering with their arrest or their detention of the individual, and make sure that there was no brutality.
It also began stirring up feelings of unease in the eyes of white authorities. This eventually led the California GOP legislator Don Mulford to attempt to pass a gun restriction bill on May 2, 1967. However, as the legislative session was midway through, Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, and 28 other armed Black Panther Party members burst into the Capitol at Sacramento to interrupt the signing of the bill. They pointed their guns at the ceiling, taking none of the legislators hostage, as they merely occupied the room, with others watching outside. Meanwhile, the Panthers Bill, the name given to the gun restriction bill, was passed with the assistance of the National Rifle Association and signed into law by Governor Ronald Reagan, who would later as president become a staunch defender of Second Amendment rights.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls upon the American people in general, and the black people in particular, to take careful note of the racist California legislature, which is now considering legislation aimed at keeping the black people disarmed and powerless. At the very same time, racist police agencies throughout the country are intensifying the terror, brutality, murder, and repression of black people.
But as support from other radical leftist organizations increased, so too did government oppression rise from the white establishment. This would begin in August of 1967 as FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover created the infamous counterintelligence program. The program would employ covert, often illegal tactics as they sought to marginalize the influence of the Black Panther Party. Assassinations, arrests, and deception were all tools deployed by the FBI. Eventually, these tools of manipulation would begin to take their toll, and the party soon fell into dissolution by 1982 due to constant attacks on leadership and morale. Though the Panther Party has been most known for the use of guns and violence, earning them sharp criticism from establishment leaders then and even now, it is important to note exactly why they preferred brute force over the traditional non-violent approaches of other groups such as the SNCC. Put simply, after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, nonviolence quickly lost its effectiveness, though its power at revealing the cruelties of police brutality continued to be unmatched today. It was less so when it came to actually defending from it. Thereafter, whenever a march was organized by the SNCC, once a brick was thrown at the protesters threw back. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale observed this shift in attitude among young blacks and tapped into it perfectly with the Black Panther Party as they foresaw the future of protests.
We use the Black Panther as our symbol because of the nature of a panther. The panther doesn't strike anyone, but when he's assailed upon, that he'll back up first. But if the aggressor continues, then he'll strike out.
However, preparing for this future would take much more coordination than was required for non-violent protests. If the Panthers truly wanted equal footing with police and enough power to finally give them a political voice again, they would need guns, and a lot of them. Luckily enough, co-founder Huey Newton was a meticulous examiner of California gun law and continually found loopholes before and after the signing of the Panthers Bill to secure firearms for the militant organization.
They put trumped-up charges of conspiracy and felonies on everyone who went in to exercise a constitutional right and said they had no right to bear arms in a public place. The California Penal Code Section 12020 through 12027 and also the Second Amendment of the Constitution guarantees the citizen a right to bear arms on public property.
The Black Power movement was in full swing, and it was carried on the shoulders of the Black Panther Party. However, the term Black Power has often led to confusion, both back then among Panther leaders and even today. It suggests, especially to the white establishment, a sense of black nationalism in which blacks would come to rule over all of America, a sentiment that obviously fed into racial prejudices of the time.
Examination.
No, stupid. You mean a civil service examination.
Well, a man carried me in a little room and set me down and started asking me a gang of questions.
Well, what'd he ask you?
First thing the man asked me, said, how far is it from the sun to the moon?
He asked you how far it was from the sun to the moon?
Yeah, that's what the man asked me.
Well, what'd you tell him?
I told him if he was going to give me that route, I didn't want to do.
Well, tell me.
And although it is true that Black Panther Party leader Stokely Carmichael, the leader of the party while Newton was in jail, advocated for the exclusion of working whites from the Black Power movement, it was not their official stance towards the issue. Upon its foundation, the Black Panther Party adopted the philosophies and ideologies of Maoism and Marxism, believing in equality for every American, regardless of race, religion, or gender. This was highlighted in the Panthers' 10-point program, which was a list of the 10 demands the party had made to give them political direction. In it, they made calls for better education, decent housing, full employment, and an end to police brutality. In the last paragraph of the list, the Panthers write an exact copy of an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence. The famous section, beginning with, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal," sets up the Panthers' mission as a simple fulfillment of national duty. Even though the Panthers' guns had done much to shape the party's appearance, style, and orientation, it was not, however, their only practiced activity. In fact, it could be argued that their community service programs were the main focus of the group, especially towards the later years. The Panthers knew that violence only went so far, and so united most of their communities and drew most of their members with a wide range of community services. Of these included soup kitchens, blood drives, fundraisers, cleanups of local gangs, opening new schools, door-to-door health services such as sickle cell anemia and STD screenings, clothing drives, free prison busing programs, and free ambulance services. Their biggest community service, free breakfast for kids, would go on to feed over 10,000 children a day before school in Oakland. Just as they had practiced self-defense with guns, they had also practiced self-sufficiency with these programs. The success of the Panther Party was brought forth, however, by the combined spirit of all its members. Women, just as much as men, gave great contributions to the organization's leadership and legacy of the party. Among the most notable of these women include Kathleen Cleaver, who became the National Communications Secretary and the first woman to be appointed to the Black Panther Central Committee, along with Barbara Easley, a leader of the Oakland chapter of the Black Panther Party, and Elaine Brown, who helped organize the free breakfast program in Los Angeles, edited the party's newspapers, ran for public office in Oakland, and earned a huge leadership position as chairwoman from 1974 to 1977. Because of the strength of the Panthers' message, the shadow of their influence would grow to inspire change in the hearts of Americans despite their dissolution in 1982. This was most evident in Beyoncé's 2013 Super Bowl performance, where she danced alongside other black women, sporting berets and black leather spiked jackets, the common attire of the Panther Party of old. Their motivation can also be seen in the rise of new political organizations such as Black Lives Matter and most obviously the new Black Panther Party. Though the latter has been rejected in validity by old Panther Party members, they still stand to try and fight for greater economic and social equality, just like their predecessors. The success and effectiveness of the old Black Panther Party is a complex topic and continues today to be studied by historians, for their methods used were extremely uncommon. Yet the symbol of the party's efforts still stand perfectly clear to millions of Americans, taking a stand against economic and social inequality.